On today's episode of Gaming Off the Grid, we examine the Wii U eShop and the DS eShop. Time is ticking, and these eShops are going to be closing forever as this month, January 2022, we enter Phase 2 of these eShop closures. What does all of this mean? And how long do you have until these eShops close forever? Stay tuned.
Nerd. Keep gaming, keep drinking, and keep gaming off the grid.
Phase 2 of the Wii U eShop closing is upon us this year, January 22nd of 2022. Subsequently, that will also include the DS and 3DS eShop support. We'll explain what Phase 2 means for the closure of those respective eShops. We've done a lot of Wii U stuff on the channel, man.
We've done a lot. We love the Wii U, so we've covered a lot of Wii U topics. We've even covered, like, when they first announced they were going to close it.
Yep.
Back in April.
Buying guides,
yeah,
market analysis, third-party titles, probably best Wii U games. So if you care to see any of that, you can go check those videos out. But today is all about the Wii U eShop because the clock is ticking on this. So this January 22nd, 2022, the Nintendo Wii U eShop and the DS and 3DS eShops will no longer accept credit cards for payment.
Yes.
So what the heck does that mean? It kind of means that we're one step closer to the end. Not quite there yet, but there's some hoops you have to jump through.
Yeah, so the eShop will still be open. You just can't use your credit card. So if you want to get games after January 22nd, you have to put money on your Nintendo account via the website, or if your account is hooked to your Nintendo Switch and you have money on then it transfers. It's just one step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break.
Yeah.
Just like before.
It's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And I get it because the Wii U did terrible, and the Switch is doing good, and they're putting all their marbles in the Switch, so I understand why they're doing it.
But what did the DS do wrong?
Well, they cut out handhelds,
Yeah.
you know? They're putting all their marbles in the Switch, and so it's understandable, but I freaking love the Wii U, and the Wii U eShop is so good.
Yeah, so to give you a little bit of perspective here, of kind of the urgency, if you will, we'll back up to prior history that, history often repeats itself,
Yep.
or so I've heard. The Nintendo Wii stopped production, so the Wii was no longer being made, in 2013. 5 years later, the Wii eShop stopped letting you use credit cards. I believe it was March of 2018.
Yes.
And then in January of 19, the eShop closed forever. So you may be thinking like, well, guys, maybe jumping the gun here. That's a 6-year gap from when the eShop closed and when it stopped production, because we're sitting here right now and into year 4 since the Wii U was discontinued. The Wii U was discontinued in 2017. So, if we were to follow how long it took, that 6-year gap, it would be like, well, you still have some time. The curious part, though, is that the Wii stopped accepting cards less than 1 year before the eShop officially closed. So I feel like at most we have... I mean, we could have, that a couple extra years, but I think this is really marking a line in the sand of about a year left.
Yeah, I think the end, if not before the end of 2022... the Wii U eShop will be closed forever. Now, that's not official, that's just my guess, that's my estimate, but I have a feeling that that's going to happen and it's going to suck. So now is the time to get in on those eShop games.
Yeah, and you may be thinking, well, why do I care? Why do I care? Maybe you've never been on the eShop. Those of you who have probably know why we're like, hey, this is a call to arms. And who knows? Maybe Nintendo will see what happened with the backlash Sony got when they announced the PS3 store closure, PS Vita, so on and so forth, and they decided to keep it open. But I don't think Nintendo's like that.
No, I think Nintendo will stick to their guns and just move on to the Switch.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Nintendo fans who wish the Switch's eShop was closer to that of how the Wii did it and the Wii U did it, where you could just buy games outright and it wasn't these online...
apps.
Yeah, and kind of there's only so many games on there, etc., and you could just buy the games outright. So, we figured for those of you who don't know, we would offer up what we feel for us personally are the top 5 reasons for you to jump on the Nintendo Wii U eShop to be able to take advantage of some deals and what makes it so great.
Yes.
The first one that I want to talk about is Devil's Third.
Yes.
If you guys haven't looked into Devil's Third, this is going to be that game on the Wii U that is so stupid expensive. Someday it's already stupid expensive.
It's already
like
freaking
$254.
Yeah, it's already crazy expensive. I remember when we got the game, we got it for like $90, and we thought that was crazy expensive.
Yeah.
It's just going like this, and it's never going to stop. That game it's a fun game. I don't know why it's that expensive, but whatever it is. But on the Wii U eShop, digital only, you can get this game for $29.99. $30 for Devil's Third, which is over $250.
Yeah,
So I think just alone that is crazy. And once the eShop's closed, you won't be able to get it for $30 anymore.
And I love the idea, you know, for stuff like this. If I were to buy Devil's Third at $250, which I don't know if I would do that, but I do like the game. Wouldn't you like to take it for a little test drive? Do I like this? Do I really want this? Do I need this in my collection? It's a great way for you to experience the game.
Instead of, before dropping that much money.
So I think that is reason enough alone to get on and check out Devil's Third if you haven't played it. It's a Nintendo title, Game & Wario. Not sure why this one has popped, but you know how Nintendo titles, they typically don't go down in value like Nintendo-made titles, and Game & Wario is currently going north of $100. And
for a party game.
Yeah, and you can get it for $29.99. The unique thing here is, with Game & Wario, that game will not be ported to the Switch, and if it does, there's going to be some compromises that have to be made.
Yeah, because Game & Wario is designed around the use of the tablet and the different ways.
Yeah.
There's like the Pictionary one where you draw on the tablet.
Yep.
There's all these mini games that are designed with the use of the tablet. That one where you guys hide and that one person has to like trying. That one's it's just so unique, and there's so many fun games.
It's
that
a really fun game.
Utilize the tablet so well that won't be possible on the Switch.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to port that game. So that game will forever be locked in the Wii U and all of its glory. You guys know probably we love the console. But it's $29.99 in the eShop. I think you might want to check that one out. If you're a survival horror fan, here is a unique one. Fatal Frame, and I think it's called Project Zero in the PAL territories, Maiden of Black Water. Now this is unique because the only way you can get this game in the US on the Wii U, we'll explain more on that in a second, is through the Wii U eShop. It never got a physical release.
Yeah, sadly. And the Wii U is region locked, so it's not like you can go buy the PAL region of the game and get it here.
Well,
you'd have to get a PAL region of a Wii U in order to play it.
And that's an awesome point. And the PAL version of the game's like $150, so it isn't even like a cheap game to get over if you're in Europe or whatever. You can test this game out and see if you like it for free. The first chapter
I think you
or
get
two.
the first chapter or two.
And then it's like regular price game after that. I think it's $29.99, $39.99. You'll have to go look at that. We've already paid for it on our console, so we can't see what the price is. But this game, the reason I think there's some urgency here, you maybe know, the game has recently been re-released on PS4 and the Switch and maybe Xbox. I can't remember. I probably should have done some more homework on that. But this game was designed for the Wii U and two screens because you use the tablet as a camera,
the tablet is your camera obscura, and I know we've talked about this in other Wii U episodes, but literally this is the best way to play a Fatal Frame game is on the Wii U. It's so terrifying because you know if you play Fatal Frame, you gotta like take pictures of like the ghosts or the spirits or whatever. You have to hold it up, and it makes it so much more scarier, and it's, I think, the best version of the Fatal Frame game.
And the new ones on, or the ports or whatever, they are a little more refined. They do run a little bit better. But a lot of survival horror games, it's about the story, it's about the fear, it's about the terror. And there's like, you see nothing on the screen, and then wham, there's a ghost there.
In your hands. Like, that's like a augmented reality type of stuff. You know, that's freaking terrifying.
It's really cool, and you know, I think all the games we've mentioned preceding this one, and everyone will mention going forward on everything we talk about the rest of the time in this episode, there is nothing currently that has two screens. So the two screen mechanic in all these games cannot be replicated if it's ever ported, or any of these games are ever ported. I think another reason to log in to the Wii U eShop is if you're a retro gaming fan and you just like playing the games, but you don't want to spend the crazy retro game prices. Man, from Earthbound on the Super Nintendo, Scat on NES, you've got Game Boy and TurboGrafx 16 games, N64 games out the wazoo. You ever wanted to play the Metroid games?
Oh, it's a great place for
the
Metroid.
DS games, they're there. A lot of options, and I think it's just a great way, again, to dip your toe in the water. Going out and getting a TurboGrafx 16 in 2022, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. This is a great way. It's so cool that it offers TurboGrafx 16. And I feel like the TurboGrafx 16 is kind of like a hidden thing in the eShop because everything on the Wii U eShop has like their own tiles. The TurboGrafx 16 doesn't. You have to like kind of search by retro, and then it's mixed in with all the retro games. So it's hidden in there, but there's a lot of sweet TurboGrafx 16. There's just a lot of really cool retro stuff just in general.
Yeah.
Like, if you just want to have one console in your game room, and you're a retro gamer and a modern gamer, the Wii U is like the perfect way to do it legally. I know someone's going to be like, well, you can hack the Wii U and blah, 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 blah. This is legal ways of playing the retro games, because it offers NES, Super Nintendo, Wii stuff, N64, TurboGrafx 16, like... It's crazy.
It is, and we already did an episode. You can check it out later if you want. But in this vein of talking retro games, the Wii is unequivocally the best Zelda console.
Oh, yeah.
Best Metroid console.
Best Mario console.
Best Mario console. When you look at it from a perspective of a console where you can play all these games in one freaking spot.
Yep.
From Zelda, you got the NES, you got the Super Nintendo, you got Zelda Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. You've got the HD remasters of Twilight Princess and... gosh dang it.
Skyward Sword.
No, it was the where you sail around. Wind Waker, yep. Breath of the Wild. But we could go on and on. If you want to check out that episode, you can check it out in the link in the description below. But it's a great console for Nintendo fans and retro gamers alike, and you can get into a lot of these retro games on the DL.
Yes, and then the last reason to get into the Wii U eShop before it closes is because of the DS game. So obviously it offers a lot of handhelds, Game Boy Advance, stuff like that, but the DS games is where it really thrives because of the 2-screen option. Dude, the Wii U is like a DS home console. I'm not much of a handheld gamer, and this is a way to experience the DS games the way they were meant to be played on a home console. It's so cool.
And you know, there is one little frustrating part. Robert has been saying DS games. DS games. DS games. The reason he's saying that is there's no 3DS games that you can play on the Wii U, which kind of stinks. And the amount of DS games, it's not bad, but it's far from great.
It's better than nothing.
It is, though. And the ones that you can play on here, personally, big hands, small little console. I would rather play it on TV. And they look and play amazing. So that's another great option for sure. Now, we did mention that the DS and the 3DS eShops are closing as well. So before that time frame, or at least when you can stop using your cards, but that's just the precursor to this thing ending, the finality, the line in the sand of not being able to download games anymore on the 3DS and DS eShops. Now, I don't know if we have 5 reasons. We're just going to dive in. We're not huge handheld fans.
Yeah, we don't know much about it, but...
Far from handheld experts, dude.
No, yeah.
We've got a good solid 20 DS games that are bangers, but outside of that, we don't really know a lot. But we'll tell you some reasons you need to jump into that store. First and foremost, I mean, Pokemon games?
Yeah.
Some of these games are getting stupid, man.
Dude, Pokemon is hot. I mean, Pokemon's always been hot if you think about it.
Yep.
But Pokemon games are so crazy hot, especially the older versions.
Yep.
You can get a lot of amazing Pokemon games on the 3DS eShop for a decent amount of money compared to buying the physical version.
Yep. I mean, there's Pokemon games that without the box, not even CIB, are north of $100.
Which is absolutely insane. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think just that alone is a reason to jump on your DS or your 3DS eShop and see what's out there, especially if there's one of those holy grail Pokemon games you're like, you know what, I just want to beat it.
Yeah, I just want to play it.
That's a way for you to get that done. And then you may be kicking yourself if you don't do that, and then you got to pay whatever it is, out in the wild, unless you get lucky at a garage sale or a thrift store or something. Next thing on the DS that I think people really need to look into, because I think the DS is going to be highly collectible moving forward.
Yes, that's a good point to bring up, because I think the DS is going to hit a nostalgic peak. I don't think it's quite there yet, because the DS came out, early 2000s?
Yeah, I can't really remember.
I don't know the exact date, but I remember my siblings were way into it in the early 2000s. So you gotta think nostalgia.
The 3DS, 2DS XL, whatever. DS has been was in production till just recently, for the most part. But that boomerang of nostalgia, it always comes back, and when the kids want to play their DS, and as of now, there's no 2-screen versions of a Nintendo console, how the hell are you going to play these games?
Yeah.
I know how. Gotta have a freaking DS.
Or a Wii U.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think, the spike for the DS, for nostalgia, is going to be in about 5 to 10 years. Way after the Wii U eShop is closed.
And I think it's going to be out of control.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy.
And for anybody that's like, I don't know, man, the install base was super high. Look at the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, the Wii is freaking going crazy right now. The GameCube. I mean, that install base was a little bit lower, but still, it's Nintendo branded stuff. It's not going to go down in value.
Yep, and I think that narrative can apply. And the GameCube did way less, for sure. But I mean, it's just the thing of it's got Nintendo's name on it. But back to things you should jump in on the 3DS eShop. Atlas games.
Oh, yes.
Atlas games. If you are a Radiant Historia fan, if you're a Shin Megami Tensei fan, there's more games. Izuna 1 and 2's jumping out, but they're crazy expensive already. And if you follow game collecting, Atlas games, they require you to spend that money.
Atlas has this thing where all of their games are expensive, and I don't know why. I mean, the games are great.
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy, and this is a great way to get into them for somewhat cheap before they go away on the eShop forever.
Yeah,
you know?
they're such a weird developer because they make great games. But, I mean, like Shin Megami Tensei, I feel like people know of it, but it's not like mainstream. So I feel like the install bases on a lot of their games stay relatively low.
Yeah.
And then also, if you have one of those games, you're not getting rid of it, because if you've ever beat like an Atlas RPG or something, that's a story in a game that will change your life, and you're not going to want to not ever play that again. So you're not going to get rid of those games. So be on the lookout for Pokemon Atlas games. And then the next thing, it's kind of I don't know, maybe you already said this on the Wii U, but I think it's worth mentioning. There's so many retro titles you can grab on the DS and then in your pocket, go play it on a plane.
Yeah, this is so cool because the Wii U, you can't really take it portable because it's got to be connected to the console. I mean, it's wireless, but it's not like the Switch where you can play it on a plane. So this is a great way you can play those retro games if you're traveling or freaking on a plane or just not anywhere near your Wii U console,
Yep.
Play it on your 3DS or your DS. It's a great way to dive into that retro scene. And there's a lot of really cool retro games that are way cheaper. I know we already said that on the Wii U eShop, but it's just a great way to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a good option to know about before you jump on there and you kind of know what's available to you. And then, the other thing I would keep your eyes peeled for, whether you're finding the game physically or whatever, which you might be able to do, but just look through the eShop for your Marios. Your Zeldas, games that are Nintendo branded that most Zelda fans out there, there's that one or two Zelda games you never got around to. There's maybe that, like, man, I've beat every 2D Mario game except for New Super Mario Bros. 2. Most gamers have that situation of a backlog, and if you think you're ever going to want to get there, the reason I would check out the Nintendo IPs on the DS eShop is these prices will never go down, and these games are already not demanding crazy amounts, but most Nintendo related IPs, you're looking at a $15 to $30 spend to get the cartridge once the eShop closes. And just as nostalgia starts to peak, those prices aren't going anywhere but up.
They're going up, which is crazy.
Give it a look-see.
It's just, there's so much that the Wii U and the 3DS eShops have to offer that I feel like a lot of people sleep on, and it's just getting so close to that point where it's not going to be available anymore.
Yeah.
And I know we're trying to get the word out there that now is the time. Now is the time. Because I know there's going to be tons of people that once this eShop closes, they're going to be like, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I listen to them? We tried to tell you.
Yeah, a game we forgot to mention on the Wii U, Axiom Verge. We talked about it in other episodes.
Axiom Verge, yes, the best way to play the game.
Yep, 2 screens. A lot of games fall into that bucket, but I just wanted to throw that nugget out there. If you're into Castle or Metroidvania style games, you definitely need to check that out, as the physical release of that game that came out on the Wii U is insane. I think there's just a sense of urgency. We're a small enough channel that only those of you who care are going to see this, but I think there's so much value in these eShops, and it's a pain in the ass that they're closing, and it's going to be one of those deals that I think a lot of people will be like, shit, I wish I would have got this game when I could have, and now the only way I can play it is to pay $200 and whatever to play that game. And that's going to happen a lot.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's just how Nintendo stuff works. And it's frustrating. But it doesn't have to be frustrating because you can get it right now.
Yeah.
So go do it.
And if you're running out of space on your Wii U, in our description below is our email. We always put it in there. Shoot us a freaking message or ping us on social medias, because there's external hard drives, and there's a unique way you can do it without having to plug it into the wall. And there's a little tiny cord that has 2 USB things, and we can help you maybe figure out how to do that so that you can get... Because, like,
you can have a lot more space.
It is worth circling back to Fatal Frame. That game takes up a ton of space.
Yeah,
get that game...
If it's a full game, download it.
You might not be able to get a whole lot else on your... Because the biggest Wii U that came out was 32 gigs.
Which is so small.
It's so small. It's dumb. And the other option was 8. Really? I mean, that's bullshit. But nonetheless, the clock is ticking on the Wii U and DS eShops. It's a call to action if you want to experience it, because there's tons of people ping me all the time. Dang, How do you guys have the Contra Rebirth games? I wish I would have bought those when I could on the Nintendo Wii. The Contra Rebirth, Gradius Rebirth,
Yep.
la la la. And it's like, too bad, so sad. I do have a way to get you those games if you want them. But for the common folk, that's not an easy task.
They're gone forever.
Yeah.
So learn your lesson from the Wii and do it now on the Wii U.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
History repeats itself, folks.
Let's talk about this beer by Confluence, which is a Des Moines brewery. Extinction Event. This is a New England style IPA. Comes in at 6.3%.
What's flying? A little pterodactyl flying across the front, taking a guy that looks like he's from Joe and Mac. A Des Moines brewery. They're pretty good. We haven't done a lot of their stuff lately. That's kind of, this was a brewery in our area that was like, wow, all this crazy stuff's coming out. Now they've kind of found their pocket of what maybe is working for them.
Yep.
And there's not as much crazy nuances
stuff.
and new stuff coming out.
I mean, this beer isn't bad. I am enjoying this. This beer, I will say, is an aggressive IPA.
Yeah.
Like the first sip is it has a lot of teeth.
Yep.
It's very girthy. And I'm saying that as an IPA fan.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what like a non-IPA fan is like. They're like, ooh.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
That's like a pine tree.
Yeah, I do like this. I've been kind of in a kicker lately. It's always weird for me. IPAs, I think most folks probably more enjoy them in like the warmer months.
Yeah,
because it's
of
more
course,
of a
yeah.
refreshing type of beer. But man, by the time you and I get out of like December, and stouts are my favorite type of beer, but I get to a point where a good IPA just is a really good refreshing
That's because
situation.
we've drank a lot of stouts.
And motor oil stouts, barrel-aged stouts,
Yeah,
where
just glug,
you
glug,
can't
glug.
even you split a can between two people. That's how girthy they are. But dude, I thoroughly enjoy this.
Yeah, this is really good. I think this is a part of their series they're doing with IPAs, where they're slowly evolving them, but the cans look kind of similar.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure, but this is pretty good. What's cool about Confluence is they're always releasing new beers. I feel like in 2021 they released a new beer every week for the entire year. That's crazy.
If you're ever in the Des Moines area, you should definitely check it out. Very unique. They don't do food, but they do have food trucks typically on
And it's
site.
nice out, yeah.
Yeah, very well distributed across the Des Moines area for sure. But you want to stop into the tap room because they usually always have some tasty nugs on draft.
Yep.
That
You can only get there.
Yeah, tap room only stuff. So anyway, check out Confluence if you're ever in the Des Moines, Iowa area. Shout out to our hometown.
Ooh, that's where we're from.
Yeah. What? Anyways, folks, we hope you learned a little something today. We know we have already done a Wii U eShop closing video. This isn't just trying to regurgitate content, but we have entered phase fucking 2 of this whole thing closing. It's gonna happen. I just don't want anybody that watches our channel on the regular to ever have that thought, why didn't I do that when I could?
Yeah.
Now I have to buy Devil's Third for $500.
Oh my god. I mean, that's probably what the price will get to eventually.
A lot of the stuff will.
It's going to get insane, and I know this is phase 2, and we will probably make a similar video to this once they announce the end of it. Just to be like, guys, you have a month. You know, the urgency is there, so we'll keep you posted on that kind of stuff. But if you ever think you'll be interested in the Wii U, or you have a Wii U, guys, I don't know how many times I have to say it. Now is the time.
The Nintendo name. These two entities, DS, 3DS, and the Wii U. So when I say DS, I mean everything DS related.
Yeah.
It's going to get nuts. I think the Wii U, we've said it before on the channel, it will be a Sega Saturn and Dreamcast, more Sega Saturn type of collectability. People are going to go nuts for this thing because Nintendo's name's on it.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome console. Higher install base, but just watch. The DS stuff is going to get insane as well. So get this stuff while you can, especially if there's anything that's eShop exclusive, which there's tons of things we could have covered that we didn't.
Affordable space adventure.
Bang. There's one right there.
Get it.
Little Nug. Mic drop. Gaming off the grid. Out. Phase 2 of the Wii U eShop and subsequently the 3DS and DS support and their eShops. Okay. God, I want fucking Powerball too, so bad, man. Alright. Toaster. They're not closing all the way. You cannot use credit cards. We'll get into that. Fuck.